Those of you who do not know me by now, I am Laura Scott. I work for Kadlec Healthy Ages. Oh, thank you. I have the best job in the Tri-Cities. I do. I have the best job. I am very excited today. This is my first panel. Oh, 3 times the trouble. No, not at all. Not in the least. I think that a lot of people are unaware of those services that are available to all of us in the Tri-Cities. And if maybe you aren't interested, you may have someone that you know that might be interested. Out in the lobby by the post in the middle, there is additional information from all 3 of these lovely ladies and their organizations. Our first speaker today is going to be Heathy Hill. She's with Kadlec Neurological Resource Center, has been there a long time. And then we have Becky Preciado, who is with Aging and Long-Term Care, and then Ann Meyer, who is with the Senior Services. And I saw many of you come up here. You've met these people before, and you know of their wonderful services, so let's share that information. And we are taping again today, like we always do. And the taping schedule is on Channel 3 Mondays at 8:30 p.m. after Jim Hall does his community health center. Also Wednesdays at 10 o'clock in the morning, Thursdays at 7 p.m., Fridays at 2 p.m., and it's available on YouTube. You know, we're all getting used to that now. You just type in something and it, sooner or later you get to what you're looking for. So first we will have Heathy Hill. Oh, and if you could, save your questions till the end when all 3 panel members are done, and then ask away.
Welcome, and thanks so much for coming. I'm Heathy Hill, and I've worked at Kadlec Neurological Resource Center for about 10 years as the office coordinator. And the purpose that we have in what we do is to provide compassion, education, and support to those affected by neurological disorders and to their caregivers so that they don't have to face a neurological disorder alone. And some people don't know what neurological disorders are. They affect the brain, the spinal cord, and nerves throughout your body. When something goes wrong with a part of your neurological system, you can have troubles moving, speaking, swallowing, breathing, or learning. You can also have problems with your memory, your senses, or your mood. And I know from many years of experience that many of you sitting out there have a neurological problem, and if you don't, you know somebody who does. They're very, very common, and everyone is affected by them. We began in 1981 as the Kadlec Battelle Epilepsy Center. And through the years, our name has changed a few times, and we've continued to listen to what our clients would like to see. And now, 32 years later, we're still here, and we focus on over 26 different neurological disorders. And our mission is to improve the quality and life of those affected by neurological disorders. And we do this by offering resources in educational programs and conferences. We do a newsletter 10 times a year. We have support groups, and we have a resource lending library. And I'll talk a little bit more about those as we go along. And for those of you that are still a little unsure about what some neurological disorders are, some of the most common ones that we deal with are up here on the screen, and in case you can't read them, I'll go ahead. It's Alzheimer's disease, attention deficit disorder, autism, Parkinson's disease, epilepsy and seizure disorder, traumatic brain injury, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue immunodeficiency syndrome, learning disabilities, multiple sclerosis, neuropathy, chronic pain, Tourette's, stroke, and post-polio. So see what I mean about you either have one or you certainly know someone who does. These are things that are very common that we've all heard about. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of the Kadlec Health System, and so we adhere to all the policies and procedures of Kadlec. But we are also a 501c3 nonprofit with our own board of directors and our own bylaws. We serve the entire Mid-Columbia. We have a really strong relationship with Kadlec. In fact, we simply wouldn't exist without them. They pay for the staffing that we have and the facilities that we live in and the utilities. We are then charged with fundraising for all of the other things that I talked about, like the library and our programs, newsletter, all of that. So it's kind of a different model than some of the, we're not a department of Kadlec, we're a subsidiary of Kadlec. And some of the way that we do our fundraising is through the sponsorships that we get from some of the local organizations. We also have really generous donors that participate in our membership drive, and we also have people that choose to have us be recognized in the passing of one of their loved ones in memorials. And then the biggest fundraiser that we do is our annual fundraiser that occurs each March called Variete, and that's a auction and dinner that we do. And speaking of that, this is a picture, and I don't know if you can see, but it was really, really magical. The theme was under our umbrellas, and so we hung all of these different brightly colored umbrellas and then talked about all of the services under our umbrella. And we already know, we've just started meeting for 2014. Our theme is going to be Life is a Journey, and it will be on March 7th. And every year we say we're going to make it the best year ever, and we continue to do that. We continue to raise the funds that we need to provide the services that we do. Something else that we do, caregiving is a lot of the people that we see that come in our doors are the caregivers. Some, are the people dealing with the neurological disorders themselves, but a lot are caregivers. And if many of you have done it and know how hard it is. And so we wanted to provide a service so that we could bring in some really, really good experts and know what to talk about. And we had a really great one this year. We'll do them annually. We're getting ready to plan for next year too. But one of the keynote speakers was John Tran, and he's a geriatric psychiatrist from Spokane. And he discussed the burdens of caregiving and the risks, which can be anxiety and depression. He talked about how to recognize the symptoms and also how to treat those if you should have those. And they're very, very common when you're caregiving. It's very hard work. And then we had Teepa Snow, and I hope many of you have heard of her. If you haven't, you need to. She's just an amazing person for caregiving. Her specialty is in dementia, but she really can talk about it all. And just as an example of some of the things that people learned during that one, she talked about learning the art of being an advocate and a partner, not an adversary or a boss, and not giving up. And you feel like that on any given day if you're tired. She also talked about reduce your risk by maintaining your brain, how you can make a difference for yourself. And then one that sometimes you might not think about but is really important, and we've seen some beautiful examples of that, making moments of joy. It's what you choose to do as a caregiver. One of the attendees of the conference said that the resources here have been a great blessing. I've learned how to help with caregiving, I've learned coping skills, and I just now have a place to vent where people can understand. I feel that this is going to help me be a better caregiver. And we always appreciate feedback. We want to know what will help you the most. And so at the end of every event, we really do ask for comments, and we really do pay attention. And we got a lot of suggestions of specific topics and speakers that people would like to have, and we do listen to those. And in that vein, I promise you the soup will not be as spicy next year. We call it the jewel in the desert. We've got an extensive lending library. We've got thousands of titles, and you can kind of see shelf after shelf here. Not all of them are books. We also have a lot of pamphlets that you can take home and not have to bring back. But if you should check out a book or a videotape or a DVD, we let you have those for a month, and if you need them longer, we're very happy to let you do that. You can also find out about the calendar of events that is going on in there, and you can also pick up extra copies of newsletters. It's a drop-in library, and we're also there to talk with you one-on-one anytime that you come in. No, I'm sorry. We're at 560 Gage Boulevard. It's at the corner of Leslie and Gage, and we're in Suite 106. And that will be for about 6 or 7 more months. In April, we'll be moving to the new facility that they're building here on Lee. So thank you. That was a good question. The support groups that we currently have typically meet once a month, and the groups that we have currently are ALS, which is also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. We have an art expression group. We have several caregivers, one during the day, one in the evening for more kind of dementia specific, and then also a men's only caregivers group. We have a chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia support group. We have a chronic pain group. We have a mindfulness group. We have one for MS, also known as multiple sclerosis. We have Parkinson's, post-polio, spinal disorders, stroke, and traumatic brain injury. Most of them meet once a month. Most of them meet at the center, but not all of them. So if you're interested in the group, you could look at our newsletter or give one of us a call. One exception is our mindfulness support group, and that meets every Friday at 2:30 at our center, because we were learning all of the research coming in about how important that is for so many things, people with chronic illness and stress. And so we decided to offer that one once a week. And all of our groups are drop-in. You don't have to call an RSVP ahead of time. The newsletter that we do is called The Neurotransmitter, and we are impressed with whoever thought up that clever title many, many years ago. We've kept it. We think it's so good. The things that we talk about in there are current neurological and health information. There's always a calendar of events, the upcoming events that we have, how to register, that kind of thing. All of the new additions to the library that we get every month, and then also support group news. And I wanted to just show a few examples in about the last 6 months or so of the articles. If you don't currently get the newsletter, these are some of the things that you could be learning about. We had one on nutrition and brain health, how high blood pressure and high carb diets can affect the brain. We had one on intimacy and neurological disorders. We had one on a quick test to prevent delirium when you're being hospitalized. That's a very serious thing. How video games may erase the effects of aging. How COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, can be linked to tiny brain bleeds. And how mini strokes may be a little more damaging than we have previously thought. We subscribe to a service where we get the cutting edge research that's going on. So when you're seeing it, it's only a few days or a few weeks old. We also do an autism conference every year, and this coming August will be our 10th annual Southeastern Washington Autism Conference. And we're thrilled. We're going to have Temple Grandin. She's the most famous person in the world with autism, and you might have seen her movie they made of her life here a couple years ago that won an Emmy. She's going to be presenting. And we also are going to be having Stephen Shore. You've seen all the books for dummies. He wrote the one on autism for dummies. And Karen and I had gone to a conference, the director and myself, and he told a really good story. When he was young, his parents were told that you should institutionalize this boy, as many people with autism were told, their family members. And he says, well, it turns out they're right, because now I teach at Adelphi University with my PhD, so I am properly institutionalized. So we're really excited to have him come. Somebody else that we recently had, but just to kind of show you the types of speakers that we like to bring in. This was Jill Bolte Taylor, and here a few weeks ago, we had over 450 people at the Three Rivers Convention Center, and she is, you may have heard of her or seen her, she was in her late 30s, and she was a Harvard brain researcher, so a really smart woman who studies brains, and had a massive, massive stroke, and left her unable to walk, talk, eat, anything. I mean, she was really devastated by this stroke, and she took 8 years to recover. And she was very intentional about her recovery, because when she was in that place that many of us would think that there's no hope, she said it was a very pleasant place, and that we all have a chance to have that kind of choice about how we live in our own heads. And she thought that was a message that she says was worth sharing. And so she wrote a book called My Stroke of Insight, for which she was on the New York Times bestseller. list, and she gave a TED Talk, and it's viewed over 11 million times. And she was also named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. And she brought along Carrie Newcomer, who's a musician, and they presented from the left and right side of the stage as the left and right sides of our brains function. And it was really a magical evening. And these are the kinds of things that we like to plan for you in the community, and we're working on some upcoming events. One of the series that we've started and has been very popular is Food and the Brain. We've done now 2 of them. Both of them have had hundreds of people. And I offer this to say that this woman from Seattle was very well received. We will be having more of these, and just an encouragement to sign up early, because we have been filling up with some of our events. One of the things that we do commonly throughout the year is called MTHFR, and it's a mouthful. It's methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase. Well, what is that? Besides hard to say. It is the genetic inefficiency of several of us in the population to metabolize the active forms of folic acid and a few other B vitamins. And it's recent knowledge that came from the Human Genome Project. And the 2 main deficiencies that they talk about, I'm going to read because you can't see that, but really be thoughtful about your own life, and then also, again, because it's genetic, this is stuff you inherit from your parents, or not, but be thoughtful about the constellation of your family members and see if any of these things ring true for your family. Depression, anxiety, memory loss, neuropathy, high-risk pregnancies, including miscarriages, stillbirth, preterm deliveries or preeclampsia, early heart disease, stroke risk, blood clots, elevated homocysteine levels, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, irritable bowel syndrome, migraines, Alzheimer's, chronic pain, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, Parkinson's, congenital anomalies, and Down syndrome. And one of the leading experts in the nation, Dr. Neil Rollins, happens to live right here in River City. And he comes and does these presentations. We collaborate with him, and we offer them about 6 times a year. And we've broken out into a couple new ones. There's incredibly interesting and valuable research on if you have this genetic deficiency, and between 40 and 70% of the population does. A lot of people, the research is coming out that these are treatable. This is treatable, and it really impacts people who are experiencing memory loss. There's another presentation we do called MTHFR and neuropathy. So people who are dealing with really painful effects of neuropathy, there's another presentation for that. It's also highly indicated for people who have autism. But there's a general talk on MTHFR that we do. Our next one is October 22nd, and it's a complicated thing. We try and make it simple. We encourage you to come back more than once. But if you recognized any of these things in yourself or your families, I would strongly recommend that you come. I do several support groups at the center, and I will tell you, several of my groups have shrunk because people have gotten this diagnosis, gotten the treatment for it, and are literally out putting their lives back together after being devastated from some of these things. So I strongly encourage you to ask more questions and hopefully come and see it. Our picture of the future is that every person dealing with a neurological disorder in our area of service is aware that we're here to help, and that they can utilize our resources, and that you can refer us to others. Some of the comments and quotes that we've heard from people who have used our services are, one person says that the Cleveland Clinic and Johns Hopkins doesn't have anything like KNRC. I'm so glad I moved to Richland. Someone else said, it's a really lonely and scary place to be when you have chronic pain. I was amazed when I came to my first support group meeting. Someone else says, KNRC has been in the forefront for resources. It should be a model for every community in the nation. You give lots of people hope along with information. Somebody who came to a fibromyalgia support group said, "Now I don't want to cry. I've been coming here for a year and a half. The knowledge I've gained, the kindness I've received, I'd have given anything if I would have been able to come here earlier in my disease. I now have learned how to take care of myself." And another woman whose husband had a great impact on us, his name was Ray Wilson, and he had ALS. He found KNRC soon after being diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. What a blessing for all of us to have found such a kind and loving team. You made his journey very comforting. We have a quote of Ray's on our wall that Sir Francis Bacon said it as well, but knowledge is power. And if you've been diagnosed with a neurological disorder, we want you to know that there are places that you can come. You can come and see us, and our tagline is information and support when you need it most. So we'll wait for questions at the end, and we'll also be out there in the lobby to talk with you some more. So thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Becky Preciado. I've worked for Aging and Long-Term Care. Some of you know us. They've recently changed our name, so if we answer differently, please don't hang up, because that does happen. But our new name is Aging and Disability Resource Center. Quite a mouthful, but we do a lot of good things. Some of the services that we provide in our community are titled case management. That provides case management and advocacy for Medicaid-supported clients to stay in their own homes with programs like Medicaid Personal Care and one we refer to as COPES, or Community Options Program Entry System. Another thing that we do is to determine the continued functional eligibility for services along with the number of hours through an automated assessment tool referred to as CARE, and to assist the clients when transitioning from residential to facility care services, chronic case management, transitioning into home health homes. The divisions of duties for Medicaid clients are served by our office, Aging and Long-Term Care. We provide ongoing in-home case management services, partners with various agencies to provide community services to our seniors, provides information and referral and assistance to the public. Home and Community Service is another agency we work with. They provide resident case management to skilled nursing facilities, adult family homes, assisted living facilities, and initial assessments to determine eligibility for Medicaid services. Aging and Disability Resource Center is a starting place in providing free and easy accessible information, referral, and assistance. Staff provide information and advocacy on screening to determine appropriate referrals, provides case management for consumers who are unable to obtain services for themselves and do not have family or friends able to assist them. Some of our links to community services includes assistance and advocacy for applying for community programs, such as Medicaid, food stamps, Medicaid Personal Care or COPES, home-delivered meals, foot care clinics, dental clinics and dental access programs, adult daycare and or health, transportation, SHIBA, Medicare benefits checkup, referrals to free reduction programs for things like utilities such as phone bills, rent, and electricity. Another program, that one's kind of my heart because my title is an information specialist specializing in family caregiver support, and that's one of our other programs. Who do we serve? Your local ALTC office service all of Benton and Franklin counties, persons with disabilities age 18 and over, persons with chronic conditions, seniors, family members, caregivers, service providers, pretty much everyone and anyone. Family Caregiver Support Program. Case managers use an evidence-based tool to better assess the caregiver's needs and help determine program eligibilities, to provide assistance and support for unpaid family caregivers in the community, enabling them to successfully provide care for their loved ones while still remaining in their, maintaining their own physical and mental well-being. Services may include things like counseling, support groups, respite services, housekeeping and errand services, caregiver training, minor home modifications, and durable medical equipment. Another program that we started up this last year is Care Transition Interventions, a patient-centered, evidence-based, interdisciplinary team intervention that addresses continuity of care across multiple settings and practitioners. The goal of the intervention is to improve care transitions by providing patients with tools and support that promote the knowledge and self-management of their condition as they move from hospitals to home. The intervention focuses on 4 areas referred to as the 4 pillars: medication self-management, use of dynamic patient-centered record, primary care and specialist follow-up, and knowledge of the red flags. Clients that are targeted for CTI include those with modifiable risk pools, standalone diagnosis such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, pneumonia, congestive heart failure, urinary tract infections, or dehydration, potential for avoidable readmissions, and Medicare-funded clients to help avoid upcoming fines and penalties. Referrals and confirmation outcome reports. If you have a referral that you'd like to get to us, please fax your referral form to 509-735-0964, or you can call us if you have questions at 509-735-0315. For referrals via fax, you will be sent a referral confirmation indicating the assigned staff member working with that person. Outcome forms are sent once services have been established to let you know of the services or inability to locate the client.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ann Meyer, and I am the Senior Companion Program Coordinator. The Senior Companion Program is part of Senior Corps, along with a couple other programs, the Foster Grandparent Program, which you may have heard of, and a program called RSVP, Retired Senior Volunteer Program. Senior Corps is administered by the Corporation for National and Community Services. That's a federal agency that supports community service and volunteering programs to improve lives and strengthen communities and foster civic enrichment. Senior Companion Program is the smaller of the entities. When it comes to our program, a lot of times people say, well, okay, what is it and what do you do? Senior companions can be anyone that are 55 and older. You don't have to be Catholic, even though we are run by Catholic Family and Child Services. We have senior companions from all races and ethnicities, and that range in age from 55 to, I believe, 84. So what do senior companions do? The focus of our program is companionship. We try to alleviate some of the loneliness experienced by those living alone in their own homes. There are times where senior companions do go into assisted living facilities as well and assist those in need. Senior companions can also provide transportation to the grocery stores, medical appointments. We have many visually impaired clients, and our senior companions will help them with correspondence, sorting mail, and paying bills. Many times they will go for a walk, play games, play cards, just visit, and they often provide respite for the caregivers. Senior Companion is a win-win program. All senior companions that are income eligible receive an hourly stipend and reimbursement for mileage and meals. The money that a senior companion earns is all tax-free and cannot count toward income when applying for benefits, and that includes food stamps, housing, or any other discounted state, federal, or city program. We do have some senior companions that are over the income eligibility guidelines, but they still continue to volunteer, and they are reimbursed for mileage and meals during their time. The older seniors that they serve receive friendship and assistance at no charge to them. All the clients that our senior companions go out and help, it is all done free of charge. And there is no income eligibility as to who can be served. So what does it take to become a senior companion? All senior companions now receive 20 hours of training. They all go through a Washington State background check. Their name is run through the National Sex Offender Registry and FBI fingerprinting. So it's not that we would just send, we send someone to your home to help care for your loved one without checking out who they are. A genuine desire to help others and give back to the community. All of the senior companions we have are just tremendous people, and most of them do it because they want to help. And as I had mentioned, it is a win-win for everyone. So senior companion services can be received by anyone who is 55 or older, or anyone who is disabled. And as I had mentioned, you do not have to qualify financially to receive services. Our senior companions they do enter into a, I guess you could say, contract with us, where they're agreeing to work, and I guess work or volunteer, at least 15 hours a week. And most of the time, everyone does that, and there's several who exceed that. And it's, like I said, it's just a win-win program for all those involved.
You were asking if our services are available online. Yes. With Aging and Long-Term Care, you will be able to go to our website and pull that up, and it will discuss family caregiver support in a little more detail, as well as other programs with COPES and Medicaid personal care and information referral that we do provide.
Senior Companion Program is not online at this time. If you went on to the CNCS website, you could probably get broad information there and be redirected from that.
And Kadlec Neurological Resource Center has a website that we put our newsletter up, so you can always see all the activities that we're doing and that's going on. And then we have a really wonderful opportunity. You can search our library from your home computer. We have a server that allows you to do that. You can search by title and author and subject. You can't get into the books and read them, but you can see what books we have available. For instance, you could pop in caregiving or Parkinson's, and all the titles would pop up, and it would also tell you if the particular book that you're looking for is still in our library or if it's currently checked out. She would like us to give website information, and ours is kadlec.org/KNRC, as in Kadlec Neurological Resource Center. Yes, it's Kadlec, so Kadlec and /KNRC.
And as far as our direct website, my brochures don't have it, and my email is confidential because I'm part of DSHS. But I did bring these brochures and little cards you can call, and we can give you that link.
So for Kadlec Neurological Resource Center, all of our services are free of charge except for some of our larger conferences. Many of those we try and then provide scholarships to people if they need them. But all of our newsletter and everything else coming in to check out a library, anything like that for us is free of charge. And nope, not affected by the shutdown yet.
Senior companion services. There are no charges for our service, even if our companions transport you to a medical appointment. Now, the medical appointment needs to be local in the Tri-Cities. They can't go to Spokane or Seattle, but there is no charge. And at this point, we don't know if we will be impacted by the shutdown either.
In our office, we have so many different programs. For instance, with COPES, if you're a single individual applying for COPES, there are income guidelines. An income for a single person can be as high as $6,000. I believe it's $6,300, although higher income levels may pay a participation. In fact, probably will pay a participation. And then they also look at resource base. A single person applying for a Medicaid program such as COPES is allowed to have $2,000 in resource, where if they're husband and wife, it's closer to about $53,000 because they allow some income for community resource spousal allowance. Under Family Caregiver, that's a program that is not part of the Medicaid system. It's actually your tax dollars at work. It's funded through the Older Americans Act and legislative tax dollars. At this point, we haven't seen cuts, but yes, it could be affected by government shutdowns. And as far as the information referral, that is, of course, free of charge. And a lot of the programs under Family Caregiver, you can have a lot of resources and still qualify. A lot of people will hesitate and not call us and think we can't help them because maybe they do have a larger resource base, but that doesn't disqualify them from Family Caregiver. So, you know, with some services such as respite, if the incomes are high, they may pay a little percentage of that service. But a lot of the things like home safety evals, counseling for family caregivers, durable medical equipment, a lot of those things, there is no charge. It's basically your tax dollars working for you. Yes and no. Oh, the question is, can a single person that's having several surgeries ask for a caregiver in home? And the answer to that, it's both-sided. Depending on the degree of care, we're not an emergency service. It does take a COPES application to be processed, and that generally it goes, will help with the application, but that processing time can be 7 to 10 days between when it first goes through home and community and then gets worked by the social worker and that assessment's in place. So it's more set up for someone that's got long-term needs for care, and it's also not generally a 24-hour care because those people are better served in a facility that can provide round-the-clock care. Only if it's viewed as being an unsafe condition. If the facility releasing you does not feel that it's in your best interest, they can tell you that, but they can't force. That's your decision of what you choose to do with your care.
That's a great question. The question was, with the Senior Companion Program, is there a backlog of people waiting in order to receive a companion? No, there's not. Generally what happens is when I get a referral, I usually try to call that person back, make contact with them within 24 to 48 hours. Then I go out and do a home visit. And what I do on the home visit is I try to match them up with a companion that will be compatible. Many times we have clients that request things. They may specifically want a senior companion that drives, or they may only want a male senior companion. Because not all of our senior companions drive. Some of them take dial-a-ride. So if they're wanting somebody to transport them to banks and things like that, then sometimes it is a little bit of a wait. But no, there's not a backlog or a 3-month wait or anything like that. Once someone is assigned a senior companion, that senior companion makes contact with them, and then they go out to the home, they meet the person, and then the two of them work out a schedule. Generally, senior companions are allowed to spend 4 hours roughly with each of their clients. Sometimes it's a little more if there's doctor's appointments, things like that, or things that come up. But the days and times and the need, that's all decided between the senior companion and the client. And we try to keep somewhat of a schedule, just so our senior companions can make sure that they have, because they have several clients, that they see everyone that they need to. But it can be once a week, it can be twice a week, sometimes it's even 3 times a week. To become a senior companion, actually I do ongoing orientation. Sometimes once I receive your application, we do the background checks and things like that, and if there's no one else, then I will just do a one-on-one orientation process. Orientation, like I said, there's about 20 hours of orientation. Roughly 12 to 14 hours are spent with me going over paperwork, policies, procedures, things like that. And then the other 6 to 8 hours is spent with a mentor, one of our seasoned senior companions that will take that person and go out with them and kind of show them the ropes. Our senior companions are paid once a month. That's when they receive their stipend for the hours that they've worked, meals, and mileage. The question was, can a person use services from Senior Companion and from ALTC combined? Absolutely, and it frequently happens. My email address is Anne, A-N-N-E-M, as in Mary, at ccyakima.org. That's a very funny question, only because Kadlec Family and Child Services has a Richland office and a Pasco office, and today the Pasco office is moving over to Richland. But we will continue to have a satellite office in Pasco, but regardless of where the office is, we serve Benton, Franklin, and Walla Walla counties. And the office right now is located on 2139 Van Giesen. It's the Westgate Center, I believe.